I just finished binge watching Temptation Island Season 6 on Netflix. Let's talk about it. Before we even get into the couples or anything that actually happened, when they brought in the new girls, I instantly recognised Maya, and she was on F-Boy Island. I've got no issue with people who have already been on reality TV, going on other shows, and I also don't have a problem with people who are actors being on reality TV. Like in Big Brother UK last year, they had a woman called Emma, and she basically just had extra parts. She wasn't a big actress, so I don't see why she shouldn't be allowed to go on reality TV. But when it comes to shows about love, you really need to think, well, obviously you're only on here for followers. When she was on F-Boy Island supposedly looking for love, and then all of a sudden she's on Temptation Island trying to get with a man who's already got a girlfriend, that's not somebody who's looking for love. We also had Mercedes, who was on 2 seasons at F-Boy Island, and then all of a sudden ended up on Love Island Australia. It's very clear that these people only want Instagram followers and clout, and it really puts me off these shows. Also the fact that there's clearly enough people applying for these shows, but yet the producers still go and scout people. It just really puts me off. Well, obviously it doesn't put me off that much because I still watch them, but let's get into the couples. Brian and Shantae, she's absolutely obsessed with him, and he keeps blaming all the problems in the relationship on her because she refuses to have a threesome. Tyler and Taylor, she wants him to get a steady job because at the moment he's modelling and they have some trust issues because he's cheated in the past. Grant and Ashley, she also has trust issues because he cheated on her at the start of the relationship. He's got a child with another woman who he also cheated on. Basically, he's cheated on all his ex-girlfriends, and she just wants him to prove that he can be trusted. Spoiler alert, he's a skis bag. Alexa and Lino, I hope I'm saying his name properly. All I could think about every time they said her name was, oh, she must not have an Alexa in the house, because it would just go off all the time. She's some sort of nurse or midwife or something, and she's been travelling around the country and he's been following her around the country. But he doesn't trust her because when he first met her, she was seeing 2 people and he feels as if he was second choice. They've now been together for a long time and he still thinks that he's second choice. Just in case you've never watched Temptation Island in your life, it's very self-explanatory. They take these couples, they split the men and women into separate villas, and then they bring in single men and women to tempt them. If you've already watched this, please let me know what you think in the comments. But I am not one to judge people's looks, ever, right? Okay, I can't be judging anybody. But when they brought out the girls, I was like, oh, stunning, right? Like, oh, if I was their girlfriends, I'd be shitting myself right now. But there was one girl in particular, when they were going across them all, and I was like, oh, nobody's going to pick her, right? Stunning body and all the rest of it, but I just thought nobody is going to pick her. And then she ended up getting picked. And I was pretty shocked. When they brought in the single men as well, I didn't fancy any of them. I'm not their target audience, right? I'm a 41-year-old woman. But they just weren't my type. I don't like them too masculine. I don't like them too muscly or whatever. But there was, again, one guy in particular who came in. And I thought, oh my god, he looks as if he should be on F-Boy Island Australia. Nobody's got to pick him. Again, I was wrong. So all the couples have set ground rules. No kissing, no cheating, no cuddling in bed, no sleeping in the same bed with somebody else. Apart from this couple. They were like, we're here to really test ourselves and see what happens. So let's just go with it. So they film them in their villas, and every couple of nights they bring them to a bonfire and they get to see small clips of their partners without any context. It's quite dramatic. The host of the show is Mark Wahlberg. I love this guy. At one point I thought he was a psychiatrist or a counsellor or something, but I looked him up and he says he just gives advice through like life experiences. Oh my god, I love him. He needs to have his own show where people phone him up and ask for relationship advice or something. Like, I find him so calming and amazing. Like, he's one of my favourite parts of the show, and I'm all about the drama, right, but I love this guy. So let's get right into it. Brian is a fucking skis bag. Before they went on the show, he was saying, I'm going to prove to you that I'm not going to cheat on you. Our children are going to be so proud. Aye, they're going to be so proud that you went into the bathroom and had a threesome with 2 lasses that you just met on national television. As if that wasn't bad enough, he then came out and he was like, oh, I don't feel bad about it, I don't regret it. She's just going to forgive me anyway. What an arsehole. And actually what he says is, I think that women appreciate it when you tell them that they're going to step out and you don't do it behind their back. Fuck you, Brian. Tyler started off not too bad. I actually had hopes for him. But there was a girl dancing for him and he was like, oh, you're trouble. So she seen the clip of this and she was like, the first time we kissed, he says to me, you're trouble. Like, he needs to be at least original. So he seen some clips of her saying that he was like a bitch or something. Like, she wasn't saying very nice things about him. And then he's like, oh, if that's how she feels, then fine. And then he went with somebody else. Grant was a fucking gaslighting prick. Within the first day or two, he ended up having sex with one of the girls in the shower. He's obviously not got one brain cell in his head, because he turned off the light and the lassie was like, oh, you know they've got night vision cameras? Aye. Blatantly had sex with the lassie in the shower and she seen it. And she was like, oh, do you know what? I'm not even surprised. Like, I knew he was going to do this. I'm over it. And then she went back to her villa and she's like, I'm single. He then had the fucking audacity to go into the diary room or whatever they call it and say, oh, I really love Ashley. I want to marry her. I hope she can forgive me. Are you fucking serious, Grant? Are you serious? What medication are you on, or what have you forgot to take? And by the way, she's going out with him. What the fuck? Why is anybody even going with that? I don't like to judge people on their looks, but see, if you actually watch it, it gets worse. These two are pretty unproblematic, to be honest. At one point they go to the bonfire and Mark tells them, when you go back to the villa, there's going to be a change. There's going to be tents at each villa, and when you go in, there's going to be no cameras, only sound. And if somebody goes into that tent, a light goes off in the other villa so that they know that somebody's in there, and they're obviously trying to keep something a secret. I realise they're only doing this for the public, but it annoys me because you know that the producers have been involved in this. But when the boys go back and tell the girls about the tent and the light, they're like, oh my god, I can't believe this. Oh my god, that's crazy. Did you not watch the show before you applied for it? Because this is not the first time this has happened. Anyway, they go back to the villa and he goes into the tent with the girl that he's with and he's making a joke out and he's like, oh, no cameras allowed, like pure making jokes. And then she's seen him and she's like, he doesn't even give a fuck. He's making a joke about it. So at that point she's like, do you know what? Fuck him. I can do better. He also goes into the tent, but at this point she's like, I've already seen him going with somebody in the shower, so let him do what he's going to do. It's done. Throughout the show, they go on dates with different singles, and he's on a date with a girl, and she's asking him a lot of questions, and he's like, oh, I don't really like how she's questioning me. And he becomes friends with this girl called Maya, not the one for the start, a different Maya. And she's saying, like, you're a hypocrite because you're here saying that you're with Shantae and that you're not going to cheat on her, but yet you've had a threesome with two of the girls. That is cheating. She sees a clip of this and she's like, yes, good for her. She's sticking up for herself, she's sticking up for me. And I actually loved that girl, Maya. So all this other drama is happening, and near the end, they get a chance to send each other video messages, and then in the end, they decide if they want to leave by themselves, on their own, or with somebody else. And I'm going to make that into a different video if you're interested. But let me know if you've watched this and what you thought of it. I've watched all 6 seasons of this. I've also watched the UK one that was on years ago. I love Temptation Island, but I must admit, the first couple of episodes of this were quite hard to get through. They were pretty boring. But so anyway, let me know what you thought of it if you've watched it. It's on Netflix at the moment. I'm going to make a separate video to tell you if they decided to get back together or not.